I think God's wonderful, God's marvellous, God's good, He's honest, He's loving, He knows all things, He's merciful, He's gracious, He's just, He's a transcendent experience. But unfortunately, though, really, these are all attributes which we place on God because they are attributes of our own human mind. They represent our own wishes, what we ourselves would most like to be like. We would very much like to be perfectly loving. We'd like to be without a trace of sin or error. We'd like to know everything. We'd like to be truly creative. We'd like to be whole and complete individual. We'd like to be perfect father. All of these things, perfectly natural desires that we have. But unfortunately, we've decided, as it were, to take all these possibilities out of ourselves and lay them on, in many cases, some figure in the sky. It's a familiar process in psychology called projection. It goes on much of the time in our lives. We are constantly, as it were, building up notions and ideas onto which we transplant attributes that we'd like to have ourselves that we don't have. I suppose this is a very conventional way of talking about God. It goes right back to the 19th century. It goes back to Feuerbach. And suddenly the idea, it's found there in Marx and found there in Freud, the idea that we suddenly feel that we need to have an embodiment, a source, a place in which we can put all these elements which are really our own humanity speaking. And the sadness to me is that people spend so much time trying to work out the nature of God, what is God, who is God, that they don't address themselves to the possibility that they can, during their own lives, achieve many of those attributes which they project onto this distant being or this distant experience.